Hey guys, as promised, the second part of my z68ap-d3 gigabyte motherboard OS X install. Now, I'm going to assume that I'm going to try and cover for both people because I'm going to cover a part in this which explains how to get an f6.dsdt.aml file. Now that means note to new users, but maybe if somebody's already running this motherboard, they might be watching it and think, oh, I don't mind doing that and I don't know how to do it. So, one of the first things first, if you've got this motherboard and maybe, I don't know if you've bought it to build a Hackintosh, or you'd already got it and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to give it a go to install the OS X operating system on, that means you're probably on a Windows PC. So we need to go to the top link, which is here. You need to register for this forum, by the way. I'm going to put the links obviously underneath YouTube. Oops, no, we don't want to go there, do it. Paste and go. Right, so this is the first page that you're going to come to. Now, I don't know whether you're on a Mac or a PC, but you need to register for this forum. And to be honest, if you're going to build a Hackintosh or you're going to install OS X, it's a forum that you're going to live on. So register for it, it's free. So when you get to it, let's not mess around. You're using this board, so you want to download iBoot. You want to download Boot CD for retail DVD 10.6x only. That's us. Forget the legacy, that's for AMD CPUs, I think. So you need to download that. I recommend making a folder called z68ap-d3_OSX. It's up to you whatever you want to name it, but make one anyway. Download it and save it into there. Come underneath and download Multibeast 3.9.1 Snow Leopard Edition. You need to download that. These are Multibeast for OS X Lion, which is the latest Mac operating system out. If you like, you can grab that now, because I am going to do a video on how to install Lion as well, but not for a while because it's a little bit buggy. So it's up to you. You can come back and get it later. I can grab it now, but the one that you need is the Snow Leopard Edition, the 391. And the last thing we need is Update Helper. Now, what this does is, because this board supports Sandy Bridge, if you try update your Mac operating system, once you've installed it and you go to update and try update it, it crashes. So you need to get Update Helper. So get that. So you've got iBoot, you've got Multibeast 3.91 Snow Leopard Edition, and Update Helper. For now, that's all you need from there. Now, let me just think how we get to the... I want to go to the... From here, you can go to the DSDT database. Now, to new users, this is going to mean nothing. To users that maybe are watching it to just watch it and see if they've done it properly or whatever, it'll mean something. So what you've got to do is here you get a list of choose your motherboard. Well, obviously, if you're watching this tutorial, your motherboard is a 1155 socket, and it's a Z68 chipset, and it is a GA Z68ap-d3. Now here on the right hand side, I don't know if you've noticed, but we've got three numbers. We've got an F1, an F3 and an F4. Now what this is, this file that you download from here, you're going to need to save it in your folder for later on. It don't mean out now, but you do need it later on for the hardware and for the Mac operating system to communicate with your BIOS. You can get by without it, but you'll find out you'll have a much smoother operating system with it. So you need to know your BIOS number on your board. Now, if you've got the F6 BIOS, I'm going to explain, I might actually explain this in another tutorial, because you have to make your own DSDT.aml. So I recommend, if you're on any other BIOS, I'd flash it to the F4 personally. It's easy to do with a CD, or you can copy the files on a USB stick like I did. I booted up into the BIOS, pressed F8, went into the flash utility and flashed it from a USB stick to F4. It was F2 when I bought the board, and I only bought it a few days ago, so if anybody's got a new board, I'm assuming it won't come with F6 on. The only reason why yesterday I decided to make my own F6 BIOS DSDT.aml file was because there was a fix in that BIOS update for a Vertex OS X SSD, and that's what I've got. So it really worried me, but I did install it from the F4. I had the F4 BIOS and I downloaded this F4 file here, and that's how I started off, and that's how I recommend you start off to kick off with. Even if you're on the F6 BIOS, you can just go download the F4 from the Gigabyte and flash to that, and it should be alright. Get that file, and let me just think now, that is everything you need, providing you're on the F4. If you're on the F3 or the F1 BIOS and you don't want to change, that's fine. You can download either this, but bearing in mind, if you're on the F6 BIOS already, I'll tell you what, I will quickly cover it. If you're on the F6 BIOS already and you're thinking, John, I don't want to get this F4, I'm going to quickly show you something. You'd come here first. Make the right site. Right, this website here. I'm going to link it as the third link, and this is where you need to come if you want to make an F6 like I had to, because it had a fix in for my BIOS. But I wouldn't recommend it if you're not right confident and you don't want to mess around. Just use the F4, flash your BIOS to the F4, and everything will run smooth. You can skip this step. Right, but this is for F6 users. Right, you need to sign up for this forum. This tells you how to do it anyway, but I'm quickly just going to briefly go over the web page. You need to sign up for this forum and download. You look on this list here for the GA Z68ap-d3 and you download it, and I'd put it on your desktop. That's the patch that we're going to use. Then you download the DSD editor for Mac. Now you can download this for Windows. It's not linked from this site, but if you Google it, DSD editor for Mac, for Windows, you can actually do this same principle on a Windows machine, and it's actually a little bit easier. Otherwise, what you're going to have to do is you'll have to install, even if you're on the F6 BIOS, don't panic, skip the DSDT.aml, skip this step, install the Mac. I've actually done this step a bit early, but install the operating system like I'm going to show you how to do, and then you can actually come to this afterwards, and you can do this once you're actually on your Mac desktop. Right, so what you'd do is you'd put your iBoot, I'll mention it again through the install, you'd put your iBoot CD in, you'd boot up, you'd tell it to boot your operating system, your OS X, and then you could come to this link after you've done that straight away. Your computer will work if you use iBoot. You can come to this link and follow this guide. That's what I recommend you do if you ain't got a Windows, or try it from Windows. If you're having problems from Windows by downloading the DSD editor and it's not working right, I haven't used it in Windows, but it's meant to work in the exact same way. If it don't, then I can't help you with that. Probably just install the operating system like I'm going to show you how to do shortly, and then come to this website and follow this. So basically you download the patch, download the editor, you open the editor up. I'd recommend you put it on your desktop, open the editor up and you extract DSDT. Now if you've done a fresh install, which I'm going to show you how to do shortly, you shouldn't have any problems. For existing Mac users, new users just ignore this. For existing Mac users who are thinking, well, I just want to update my BIOS, John. I've already got the operating system on, I'm running F4 and I want the F6. You can do it by deleting your extra folder, turn off your computer, flash your BIOS, boot up with iBoot, and then follow this. And you can just do it. If you don't delete that extra folder, this don't work. You get loads of errors. I was trying it for hours the other day, and it just won't work. I kept getting errors after errors, because what it tries to do is use your DSDT that's already there for some reason. So to be honest, you can probably just delete the DSDT, not the full extra folder, but I just deleted the lot. Then once I restarted, I used iBoot, I made the DSDT, and then I used MultiBeast. New users, don't panic, I'm going to show you what I'm on about here shortly once we've installed. I use MultiBeast and I click my user DSDT, repair permissions, my driver again, and I just redid it as if I'd just installed, restarted, and bang, sweet, there you go. Right, back to new users, we're on. So we extract the DSDT, you'll get a funny looking window, don't panic. Move across, you've just gone to file and you've extracted it to open, browse to that text file that you just downloaded from Maldon's website for the Z68ap-d3, open it and hit apply. Once it's finished, close. Then you need to click, you go to ISL compile. Now, when I did this yesterday, before I actually deleted to existing users, before I deleted the DSDT.aml file, I got 12 errors and they couldn't be fixed, so that's why you need to delete it and restart. Anyway, new users, you'll click this and you might have some errors here, but it fixes errors, and when it's done it should come up like with no errors, and there's no reason why it shouldn't do that for a new user. I'm quite confident that it will. Now, for any users that are really scared about doing this and feel that they can't do it, I've actually got the F6 pre-edited DSDT.aml file. Now, I'd prefer it if you do it yourself, instead of just everybody watching video and thinking I'll email John and I'll get him to send me it. It's better if you do it yourself from your own board anyway, because that reads your BIOS and it reads your hardware and stuff. Mine would work, it'd be like a generic and it would work, but I'd recommend doing this if you can. So once you've fixed the errors, mine had 5. I'm assuming if you're using the same board, yours might. It fixed errors and bang, it came up and it was sweet. Then you hit save AML as. This is all explained on this website anyway, but I'm just flying through it. And you save it as a .aml file and you leave it on your desktop. So on your desktop you'll have a DSDT.aml. What I would also recommend you do, you can either do it now or you can do it later, is save that file. If you've used a dump drive or a CD or whatever, get it saved, because you're going to need it every time you install the Mac operating system. So once you've done that, you're good to go. Now, I'm not going to go into it yet, but you can actually patch your audio here as well. But if you download the F4 version, it's already done. If not, I wouldn't recommend you do this just now, because it's going to confuse you. So for new users and existing users, you've now got all the tools you need apart from the actual Mac operating system disk itself. So it's up to you where you get that from. You can either go to your regular places and get it, you're on OS X Leopard 10.63, or do what I did and I went into PC World or something like that, I think I got it from, and I bought the retail disc. They're only 30 quid, but it's up to you however which way you want to get it, but obviously you do need it. So next thing's next. If you've got a new PC, you need to burn iBoot and Multibeast. No, not Multibeast. You just need to burn iBoot. Now, I don't know if you're on a Mac or not. In fact, I don't know if you can burn it on Windows, that. I don't know if you can burn iBoot on Windows. I know how to do it on Mac operating system. You might have to convert the... No, I'm quite sure you can burn an ISO. Burn it in Windows or in Mac operating system. I'm quite confident you can. If you can't, I'm not going to go into that. Just Google it. If it's I'm sure it's an ISO file, so you can just burn it in Windows, Winier or whatever. You'll know, because when you put the disk in, you boot from the CD-ROM, it boots up and you'll see what you're going to get now. But I'm confident you can burn your iBoot ISO, and wherever you get your Mac operating system from, your 10.63, you need to obviously have that on a disk. So have these 2 disks handy, and I'll speak to you very shortly upon the install, and I'm going to show you a few BIOS settings that you need to do before we go any further. Thank you. So, hi guys, as promised, here we are in the BIOS. Obviously, I'm just going to show you a couple of quick settings, what you need to do before you can carry on and install the Mac operating system. Now, first things first, if you're wanting to maybe flash your BIOS at this point from a USB memory stick to, say you're on F6 and you want to go to F4 to make life easier for yourself, to skip that bit where you've got to go to that web page and get DSD editor, then download your patches. This is the way I actually did it at first, because I downloaded the F4 BIOS, I extracted it and put it on a USB memory stick, then I came in here and I pressed F8, went into Q Flash, browsed to my USB memory stick, and I flashed from F2 to F4. This is what I recommend you do ideally, or if you're already on F4, if you want to make life easier for yourself and skip that third step. So first things first, we need to go into the advanced BIOS features, and let me just check here. This is where you can disable that silly logo screen there if you don't like it, then that way it'll display your BIOS number when you boot. It's actually in integrated peripherals, if I remember correctly. Now default, that comes on IDE, like this. You need to change it to APD. If you don't, you'll never install the Mac OS X operating system in a million years. Then, I think that's it in there. I've disabled the onboard audio, because I've actually got an external sound card, because I do a bit of teaching people singing and stuff, so I use an external sound card. Obviously, if you're using your onboard audio, that'll be on anyway as default. Go into power management setup, and you need to enable HPET support. It'll be enabled by default, but I'm not sure about this. This could be on 32-bit, and knock it to 64-bit. And they're the only three BIOS settings that you need to do. So you need to go in there, change the PCH SATA controller to APCHI, AHCI, go down to power management, and enable HPET support and knock it to 64-bit mode. And that's it in there. PCL status, oops, CPU, I need to actually enable this. I'm going to put it to 70 degrees, my CPU warning temperature. That's because I flashed it yesterday and I haven't bringing it back in. I think we'll have that on, and that'll do just for now. How cold is my CPU running? Oh, nice and freezing. Right, okay, save and exit. Just before I do that, I'm going to eject my CD. Now I'm not actually going to reinstall this because I've already installed, but what I will do is I'm going to put my iBoot in, which was an ISO, is now on CD. I'm going to save and exit, hit yes, and off we go. Now upon boot you want to press your F12 key. As you can see, that silly logo screen's gone now and it displays my BIOS, which is an F6. So keep pressing F12. I just keep doing it, sometimes it doesn't. Right, so we get to the CD-ROM, we want to boot from the CD-ROM. This is iBoot now booting. To be honest, it's very easy to do this, as long as you know what to press. Right, I'm back again. Now that CD took about 10 seconds to load. Now what we can do is, now we're on that screen, oops, keep knocking camera, sorry if it moves. Right, you eject your CD, your iBoot, and you put your retail, or whichever way you'll prefer it, operating system disk in, OS X Leopard 10.63, close the drawer, wait 10 seconds for the drive to find it, and then this is actually, I don't want to confuse you, but that's actually my Mac drive at the minute. If I wanted to go the advanced way of making my F6 DST.aml, this is how I'd boot it. I'd boot this CD and then move across and boot now, and that would boot from some settings from the CD instead of what we're going to install later on. Right, so if we press F5 now, where are we? And here we go, it's just revving up. Yeah, can you see how it changed over there, and now it's gone to Mac OS X install DVD. So check it's selected and press go. Right, and maybe a couple of minutes later of that spinning Apple logo, we've come to this screen. So obviously we want use English for the main language. Now when you get to this screen here, you don't want to continue yet, you need to go to Utilities and go to Disk Utility. This is to sort your hard drive out so that you can install the Mac on it. If you try and install it on an NTFS drive, it'll just say no and it won't install. You can access this disk utility from inside the Mac OS X. It's very good, really good. So as you can see, mine at the top is an 120 gig OZX Vertex 3, and there's my partition. So what you do now is, depending on what hard drive you wanted to use, you would click partition, and then you would click, you give it a name, OS X 10.63, drop it down to one partition, sorry, so I don't want to revert back. Right, okay, so what you do is, at this point, you click partition, give it a name, like OS X 10.63 sounds good, or you could name it 10.68 because you are going to update it to that. Once you've clicked partition and you've done it, click apply, and it will create you a partition like I've got. Apart from this is actually my Mac operating system, which I don't want to take off.
So open disk utility, select your drive, partition, give it a name, hit apply, and depending on how big you want to make your partition, you might have a 500 gig hard drive. You can choose your size here. Obviously I want to use my full Vertex 3 as my boot drive. So once you've done that, you can actually close that once you've created your partition, and you're done. Now if I hit continue, if you don't do that part when you hit continue, you won't be able to continue. You see how that's showing me a green arrow? What will happen is you'll go like that and it shows you that mark to say you ain't going anywhere, mate, look. So you need to partition your hard drive, then you can hit install. Now I'm going to stop there and I'm going to pause the video because I don't want to install and I don't want to lose. It doesn't ask you any more questions. It'll just install and eventually it'll restart. But when it restarts, you do need to turn your computer off, give it a second, eject quickly and put iBoot in. Right, here we are again upon the restart that you would have got with the CD-ROM closing. Thank you. I'll have you back. Make sure you change the CD and put iBoot back in. So you've finished with the Mac operating system disk now that you purchased. So you can put it away and drawer. And you would press F12 and you would boot from the CD. As you did the first time, but this time you will have a drive the same as mine that you can actually boot from. Don't worry, you don't need this CD forever. In a minute I'm going to show you how to sort it out so you don't need the CD anymore. Right, okay, this is the window you'll get. Move over to your nice freshly installed Mac operating system drive and press enter.